So what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper. Welcome everybody to another video today. Hope you guys are doing well. So bots have single-handedly been the most controversial feature to not only be added in PUBG, but I would just say in every battle royale game in general. Now, since their addition into PUBG, they have seen a variety of feedback. Some people absolutely love them and they feel as it helps them get accustomed to the game. However, more experienced players find them boring, incredibly dull, and just seemingly like a waste of space within the game. So we're going to be exposing the main problem, I think, with bots in PUBG, and we're also going to be talking about some potential solutions. I think that there is a way that bots can be implemented in a game where it doesn't really hurt a normal player's experience, and somebody who's brand new to the game can still get accustomed using bots. So we're going to be taking apart this a little bit, and it should be a really fun discussion. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It's completely free, as well as make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel so you don't miss any more videos. I would really appreciate that. So to really delve into the main problem with bots, we have to go back all the way and understand why bots were added in the first place. Now, ultimately, the problem is not with PUBG, but with every single battle royale. These games have a limited lifespan. They have an expiration date, if you will. As soon as the player base gets too familiar with the game mechanics and overall the skill ceiling gets high enough, then you inevitably create this hierarchy where it's really, really hard for new players to get accustomed to it, and it's very discouraging just to get beat over and over and over again, where you feel like you're not learning anything. In my opinion, when trying to get better at a video game, it's best to play with somebody or a group of players who are slightly better than you are, so that you can still learn from them, but you're not just getting beaten to the ground every time and not understanding what you're doing wrong. There seems to be this middle ground that you have to find. When the general player base of a battle royale has got the game down to a science, a new player jumping into that is not going to learn anything whatsoever. However, if that same hypothetical player is playing with a general population of gamers who are slightly better than they are, then there are probably going to still get beat, but they're going to be learning a lot in the process, and it's significantly less discouraging. It seems to be like this optimal balance that facilitates the most learning, and the problem with not only PUBG, but just basically every other BR that has added bots is that hierarchy, that skill ceiling, got a little bit too high. And unfortunately, that's the price you pay for having a very complicated and complex video game. In normal matches, we're starting to get to a point where, because everybody was so good at the game, they were effectively what are now ranked matches, or they were as essentially competitive as you can get. And this presented a big problem, because not always did you want to have to run the meta guns all the time and have to sweat it out every single day. Some people just wanted to play the game to have some casual fun, and fair enough. Both perspectives of these games are equally valid. Again, this is not a problem that's exclusive to PUBG. I actually think Fortnite ran into the problem earlier, but the way they handled it in PUBG, I think, is where they made a mistake. Now, on paper, the decision they made sounded fine, right? They were going to make normal matches so people could go and play casually, and they were going to have bots in them. And then they're going to have a ranked playlist for people who want to sweat it out and can only play with other real players. They have a place to do that. Now, I'm not necessarily saying PUBG made the wrong decision with adding ranked mode and splitting that with normal matches, because I don't think there actually was a perfect solution here, but I think at the end of the day, it did more harm than good. First of all, when ranked mode released, it was kind of confusing, and it was not entirely clear on how to increase rank and what is the best way to optimize your game, because essentially, as it turns out, it's really hard to make a battle royale game competitive when it's not like a typical team-based game. It's like scoring in any kind of BR is going to be really difficult to do in an extremely balanced competitive sense. Not only that, but ranked mode was immediately swarming with cheaters, despite their efforts putting up extra security measures to keep cheaters out. They had this SMS, token system where you had to verify your phone, and that was supposed to keep more cheaters away. Oddly enough, however, it seemed to have an influx of cheaters, even despite this, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. My leading suspicion is that cheaters looked as kind of like a challenge to see how much armor they could get through in the security systems of PUBG and still get away with it. So I think that was at least partially responsible for the influx of cheaters, but it also had problems with matchmaking, where most players, depending on your rank, whether it was too high or too low, you couldn't even play with your friends, which was kind of the point. If you're within some of the higher ranks in PUBG and you have a friend who just got the game, who is, obviously still learning, is not going to be a super high rank, you guys probably can't even play together until enough normal matches. And again, your only option, if you want to play normal matches, is with bots. Now, I'm laying all this out for a reason. I'm trying to explain why the decision was made that bots are necessary for PUBG, and not only this game, but again, every other BR. It's that ultimate problem where these Battle Royale games do have an expiration date, and when the player base generally gets too good, then your game is going to stagnate and ultimately die. What's interesting is the PUBG devs want Battlegrounds to be around for at least the next decade. You know, the next 10 years of this game are going to keep evolving, and whether that's through the same iteration of just regular PUBG or if they decide to make a brand new game, we don't really know. It's kind of besides the point, however. They just needed to do something in order to not really flatten that skill curve, but have something, a mechanic that can foster new players into the game so that it can keep it alive for, let's say, the next 10 years. If you've played PUBG at all in the past couple months, then you probably have seen the glaring problem with bots right now. Immediately when they were implemented, the bots were not very sophisticated. They were pretty basic and didn't really do anything too out of the ordinary. They would kind of just stand out in the open and start shooting and miss a bunch of shots, and that's kind of what they do now, although they are getting a little bit more advanced. Now, I talked to the PUBG devs about this, and they basically have two versions of bots. They have what they call the Ultron ones, which are unbelievably cracked. You probably don't want to play against them, and they would just be annoying to have in matches. So the alternative is to just have kind of dummy bots that are more or less target practice. To me, it seems regardless of whether we had the cracked bots or the current ones that we have now that are, I guess, what you would call intermediate, I don't think it actually matters too much. Players that have any amount of experience really on the game can kind of agree that bot kills just feel empty, and I think that's true. The beautiful thing about Battlegrounds was that the unpredictability match to match, because there are so many different ways a real player can interact with the map, and the possibilities of what you can achieve during the game and the kind of loot that you get and the experience that you have cannot even be predicted. It's ultimately replayable, but I think the problem with bots is not only do the kills feel empty, but they also play quite predictably, thus feeling less replayability match to match. In the last PUBG update 8.3, they added a statement in the notes that claimed the bots have a little bit of an overhaul to make them feel more natural and more sophisticated in that way. And again, I don't know if that's exactly the problem. Every iteration of these bots are meant to make them feel a bit more natural. So the first thing they did was make them be able to parachute in rather than just spawning on the ground. The second thing they did was make them be able to jump and move around the map in a bit more of a natural player-like motion. I think getting the balance right of bots is something they could spend months and months doing, but ultimately, I don't know if that's going to be the solution. I still don't know, even if they made an AI bot in PUBG that was virtually indistinguishable from a real player, I still don't know if the game would feel the same, you know? Like, just if you have any indication that what you just killed was a bot, regardless of how real it feels, let's say, I just don't think it quite gets there. Now, I'm also not going to say that I feel bots should be entirely removed or they don't have a place anywhere in PUBG, because I don't actually believe that to be the case. There's a proper implementation for these things that doesn't hurt the general experience of, let's say, the majority of players. PUBG has also stated in official documents and videos that they ideally have the bot set up in a way where the better player you are and the more experience you have in game, the less incidents of bots you're going to run into. And I think we can all agree that's pretty reasonable, right? You know, once you reach a certain threshold in the game, you probably won't be seeing any more bots, or at least that's how it should be intended. The problem is the player base is not like nuanced enough to be able to do that. I think if there was potentially a full crossplay system, then that might be a possibility. But right now there just isn't enough variety in terms of the skill of players to actually make that distinction. When playing normal matches, the amount of bots in your lobby is virtually completely determined by what time of day it is and how many people are queuing up in that particular lobby. So if it's very late at night, you're likely to get a lot of bots. During prime time, you're probably not going to get too many, just maybe the very bare minimum. But I get it. You don't really want bots in your lobby regardless. Sometimes you just want to play the game with only real players, but you also don't want to play against only sweats and cheaters, people that are there for the exact same reason. And that's why I think the ranked mode edition was kind of a problem. Now, I do have a potential solution, and again, it's not a perfect one just because there's literally no good solution in the situation, but I think that at least for restoring the main experience of Battlegrounds back to the game that most people fell in love with the game for could be restored. But in order to do that, I think we would have to get rid of ranked mode, and we would have to reconsolidate everything back into normal matches. When you go to play PUBG, everybody jumps into the same normal queue. Now, that isn't to say that there isn't room for a competitive playlist. I think in the esports tab, for that section of the player base that enjoys playing the game in that nature, I think there could be a playlist of what is effectively ranked mode right now, with 60 players, esports rules with blue settings and everything, and the section of the player base that wants to play that can enjoy it. But for the rest of the people that want to play regular matches without bots, I think that's viable as well. Now, what do we do about bots, though? Because if we implemented this solution as is, then we just reverted back to the state of the game before bots, and that's not really helpful either. But I think at least partly a solution to this would be to have an offline mode with only bots. So you could basically jump in as a brand new player, and it's effectively the experience of BR, but as a single player game. The bots are going to help you get accustomed to the maps, weapons, and how gunfights generally work. This way you can experience all the content offered to you. You can pick your map within this, so it doesn't feel like content is walled off to you in some sense, and you can also learn the game this way. You're not forced to play with bots, but you can if you so choose to. And I would think, in theory, this would restore the healthy matchmaking of just normal games, and basically every queue and perspective could actually be filled up. You could still have part of the leaderboard system from ranked, and that could be integrated into the normal matches. I'm not really super concerned with that, to be honest, right now, and if you have any solutions about leaderboards that you guys like to see, I'd love to know in the comment section. But I just think the general experience that Battlegrounds provide could be restored without having any bots whatsoever, or at least in a way where you're not forced to play with them if you don't want to. So that's basically my opinion on the main problem with bots, and maybe a solution. You guys can let me know what you think down below in the comment section. It was a fun discussion regardless. If you guys enjoyed the video, though, give it a like rating, subscribe if you are brand new to the channel, and also if you guys want to go follow me on Twitch, links in the description down below. I stream there every day, and also you guys can use my creator code if you like. You can log into your PUBG account and select my username for the creator appreciation program, and it helps out the channel a lot. If you end up using my code, let me know in the comment section so that I can personally thank you. It does mean a lot, so appreciate it a lot, guys. But anyways, have a great rest of your day, everybody, and I'll see you all in the next live stream or the next video. Take it easy, and peace out.